In this video, I want to react to faceiq in his latest video called 100% Proof Humans Are Carnivores. So let's go.
So here we have 100% proof that humans are carnivores. So a stable isotope analysis of a woman who lived 13,000 years ago during the glacial period, during the Ice Age, showed megafauna made up around 96% of her diet, with mammoths comprising around 40%, followed by elk, bison, camels, and horses. So not just meat, but large animals specifically made up around 90%, 96% of this woman's diet, followed by a negligible contribution from small mammals and plants. Okay, so, what percent of this other 4% besides these large animals was meat? Well, small mammals versus plants, if we gave a generous serving to plants, that would be 98% meat. Okay, and her son ate the same way. These people were not eating plants, and they were thriving. Again,
What do you mean by thriving? So just because we had a few populations that had to survive on meat doesn't mean they were thriving. They were actually living much less than the average today.
single nutrient is gone from the diet, you can't go to the next generation. If a diet has no B12,
Okay, so the goatis argument, as always, just parroting goatis. A lot of these you can get from plants as well, and nutrients like carnitine, creatine, carnosine, taurine, cholesterol, they're not even essential in the first place. Everything that's essential that's here, you can get it from plants. So yeah, really a stupid argument, just parroting goatis, as always.
no vitamin A, no vitamin K2, no B6, no
That's not true. In studies, vitamin A, etc., from plant sources, they cure deficiencies. So again, another false argument.
heme iron. If
Plant iron, although it's less bioavailable, it's actually selective. So one problem that carnivores have is they absorb too much iron, which is obviously bad for the blood. You don't want too little nutrients, but you don't want too many nutrients. You can get iron overload with heme iron, which is much less selective, and your body's way better at downregulating excess iron from plants than heme iron, which is iron from animal foods.
a diet is not conclusive, you will not be able to have offspring. Maybe one generation, and then you will.
That's just fear mongering. For most of human history, we had plant-based diets. For like 99% of our time, we didn't eat meat daily. That was the exception, not the rule. And these people all act as if it's the rule. It wasn't. We evolved on plant-based diets. We only started eating meat daily after agriculture, which was like 10,000 years ago. And before then, catching animals and eating meat was an exception, not the rule. It wasn't a daily phenomenon for most of human history. And our brains developed way before we started eating meat daily. So it wasn't cooked meat that made us humans.
Because we see veganism even tanks people in the generation. A person switches to vegan, 95% quit after 5 years because it's so.
Okay, so now show me the stats for carnivores. Probably similar. The vast majority of carnivores quit their diet. Why bring that up?
Efficient. There's another part I wanted to review here. Columbian mammoths are about 13 feet tall. Again, these are very fatty mammoths. These people were most likely getting 80% of their calories from fat, as that is our natural primary energy source.
No, it isn't. It's glucose. Dietary glucose, not gluconeogenesis, which is a way less efficient way for the body to have energy.
Ketone production is a lot more efficient than glycation.
That's not true.
For sure. And there was something else I wanted to find. They compared the mother's diet as revealed by the analysis to various omnivores and carnivores, including big cats, bears, and wolves. Her diet resembled that of Homotherium, a now extinct scimitar-toothed cat that hunted mammoths. So we are carnivorous by definition, naturally. Now, would we have eaten more plants if it wasn't an ice age? Yes, but this proves that meat is the driving power of our livelihood and of our nutrition.
You're talking about a very small percentage of human history. And it wasn't even all humans, it was just some populations. And if we were supposed to have a meat-based diet, then why does meat increase pro-inflammatory markers like CRP, IL-6, TNF-alpha? Why does meat increase inflammation in the body if you're supposed to eat it for most of your diet? Because you're not.
Because you'll never find an analysis of any human pre-agriculture eating 100% plants. It does not exist.
Humans were omnivores for pretty much 100 or almost 100% of their history.
Sometimes they'll eat more than this, obviously, like maybe 30, 40% at the most, typically 10 to 20%. That is fibrous tubers, that is seasonal fruit, okay? By definition.
No, we actually have data from Neanderthals and ancient humans going back tens of thousands of years ago, if not more, proving they actually ate things like grains and legumes and stuff like that. It's not just tubers.
We are carnivorous. These highly mobile and nomadic people are associated with artifacts including large stone spear points suitable for killing massive prey, big stone knives, and scraping tools for removing flesh.
Why does that matter?
I misspoke, but I wanted to add in humans were depicting tools meant for only meat, not for plants. Broccoli didn't even exist at this time. Humans hadn't made broccoli yet.
Doesn't matter. Like, whatever you think is natural or whatever you don't think it's natural, doesn't matter. Split people into two groups, and the group that eats more broccoli lives longer and has healthier biomarkers on average. And this has been replicated, and overall, the more fruits and vegetables you eat, the longer you live and the healthier you become. This has been replicated so many times over the decades. It doesn't matter if the fruits and vegetables have different shapes now. What matters is, what does the data say? And the data shows the more fruits and vegetables you eat, the more you live on average.
Cabbage. Broccoli is a completely man-made food.
Doesn't matter.
There is no wild version of it. And again, every wild version of plants is extremely deficient in macronutrients.
But when you split people into two groups and one eats man-made carrots and the other one doesn't, the one that eats carrots tends to be healthier and live longer. That's what matters. It's the randomized controlled trials. And also, observational studies have some value to it because they have the advantage of really high sample sizes. For example, with observational studies, you can actually have a sample size of 10 million, which is obviously something you cannot do with randomized trials.
All plants are missing vitamin A, D, K2, B6, the active form, B12, taurine, creatine, carnitine, taurine, heme iron, CoQ10, cholesterol. All plants are missing those vitamins.
No. And his argument is going to be, oh, you don't absorb the vitamin A. Yes, you do. We have a bunch of studies showing that plant vitamin A can cure vitamin A deficiency.
But then the wild plants, the seeds are massive in fruits. They're a lot less sweet.
Again, doesn't matter. Even with modern fruits and vegetables being different, people still live longer. That's all that matters.
The vegetables are extremely poisonous. If you eat wild carrots, you throw up. Things like that. Obviously, we were not meant to be eating vegetables. The only vegetable we traditionally ate was tubers. Okay, and they're very fibrous. We would eat them. We would spit out the fiber. That was a somewhat form of hydration and a starvation food. And they were somewhat filling if you were to swallow some of the fiber.
Is he going to just talk about one article, the entire video? Is he going to show any studies? Like outcome studies showing people live longer eating meat? No, he's not going to, obviously.
You'd fill your stomach up. You wouldn't be getting nutrition, obviously. So yeah, the fact that we ate minimum 96% meat during the Ice Age is conclusive proof.
No, it isn't.
We are carnivorous. We can completely thrive off only meat. Has every nutrient you need.
What do you mean by thrive? All the populations we know that have animal-based diets, they live even less than the Americans. But the Americans have a terrible diet, the Western American diet, and they still live longer than the animal-based populations, even though the Americans eat a ton of junk food.
And again, during analysis, we know meat has every nutrient you need, objectively, and we know that plants are missing 15 essential nutrients. And then, of course, when you avoid, plants also have the anti-nutrients, things like goitrogens, phytic acid, oxalates, lots of other toxins.
For oxalates, just don't eat 1 kilogram of spinach daily. And there are better leafy green vegetables than spinach anyway. And when it comes to most anti-nutrients, they're destroyed by cooking. And you don't eat raw rice or raw legumes, you cook them. And when you eat whole grains or legumes, your lifespan increases. So who cares what you think happened during the Ice Age? What matters is outcomes. Do people live longer eating whole grains, legumes, etc.? The answer is yes.
Trypsin inhibitors would mess up your protein absorption. Every plant is inherently toxic. It's biochemistry 101.
Show me outcome studies showing that people that eat more plants die sooner. That's all I'm asking.
And humans have just bred them to be a little bit less toxic.
Again, doesn't matter what you think is natural, it matters the outcomes. People still live longer eating fruits and vegetables that are man-made compared to eating less of them.
And that's about it.
A terrible video, obviously, just full of misinformation. He didn't really mention any outcome studies, and all the outcome data goes against what he says. But yeah, I guess that's it. Join my school community if you want to know everything I do. I share my diet, skincare, etc. So if you want to join, check it out. And that's it. Bye.